Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the UH Energy Electric Vehicle webinar series, where we will be discussing socially responsible product positioning and the electric vehicle industry with Dr. Saheen, where she'll be talking about incorporating uh, corporate social responsibility into product positioning decisions, which is a very important element of a firm's sustainable agenda. My name is Saad Maiman, and I am an MISN finance student at the Bauer College of Business at the University of Houston. I'll be your moderator today for the event. Before we begin today, I would like to take a minute to thank our partner and our sponsor, Evolve Houston. We're so glad that they're working with us to help provide Houstonians with reliable alternatives for transportation to accelerate clean transportation through electrification. To learn more about the electric vehicle webinars and previous webinars and any other UH related projects, please visit the website that's provided on the presentation. Moving forward, we will have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. So we will be using the chat function in Zoom. So please, you guys can go ahead and submit your questions in the chat, and I will be able to moderate the incoming questions in the order we receive. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Dr. Saheen. Dr. Saheen is an associate professor of supply chain management at the C.T. Bauer College of Business at the University of Houston. She holds a PhD in supply chain management and an MBA from Texas A&M University. Her teaching and research interests are in logistics, operations, supply chain management, inventory planning and control, information technology applications in supply chain management, and sustainability. Her research publications have appeared in operations and supply chain management journals. She's been recognized for her research and leadership related service work and received various awards. Dr. Saheen consistently presents in academic and professional societies. She has been invited speaker at many academic conferences and industry sponsored meetings. She consulted with leading firms from various industries, including automotive, pharmaceutical, equipment, building products and electronics, manufacturing, and among others. Dr. Saheen is also an active member and past president of Decision Societies Institute, DSI, and she's also an active member at a vice president at the Production and Operation Management Society, POMS. She also served at the Supply Chain Management Doctoral Program Coordinator at the Bauer College of Business. And currently, she teaches at the undergrad, graduate, and executive levels. Without further ado, I would like to start this presentation. So if you guys have your cameras on, please turn it off so everyone can enjoy the presentation.
Hello, my name is Funda Shahin. I'm a faculty member in supply chain management at Bauer College of Business at the University of Houston. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you today some of our research findings on socially responsible product positioning. What I will be presenting as findings are from a research study in collaboration with two of my colleagues, Powell Robinson of University of Houston and Hanan Sajadi of Longwood University. In addition to presenting research findings, I will also provide examples from the auto industry. I will also discuss the evolution and development of electric vehicles. First and foremost, let's start with sustainability. Sustainability, as we all know it by now, is the ability of being able to meet current needs without compromising the ability of future generations from meeting their own needs. With that, there are three pillars to sustainability. People, which is about the social element, planet, related to the environment, profit, related to the economic gains. Sustainability encourages firms to frame their decision making or long-term decision making in terms of environmental, social, and human impact without solely relying on short-term economic gains. With that, firms typically set goals such as minimizing waste, reducing carbon footprint, reducing emissions, reducing energy use, sourcing from fair trade organizations, adopting fair trade practices. However, making the transition to sustainability can often be a complex process. Having said that, incorporating corporate social responsibility into product positioning is an important element of a firm's sustainable agenda. So let's look at the role corporate social responsibility plays in product positioning decisions. We'll start out by looking at the consumer's decision. Consumers often face situations where they have to choose between competing products based on the combination of respective product attributes. In the case of buying a car, those product attributes can be things such as style, speed, comfort, price, reliability, maintenance, or the gas mileage or the range of the car. Firms, on the other hand, spend substantial time and effort in choosing their strategic product positions. By strategic product positions, we're talking about the conventional product attributes that are attractive to the consumers. You want to have happy customers. And they look at how to differentiate themselves in the marketplace and accomplish their financial goals. When it comes to socially responsible product positioning, the firm's decision rests on three things. The socially responsible, or what we call SR attributes of the product, which is things like greenness, eco-friendliness of the product, the price of the product, and product's conventional product characteristics. Now, would you change your mind if you have to choose between the internal combustion engine Chevy Camaro and the new the electric Ford Mustang Mach-E? Which one would you buy? Why? In this case, with the introduction of the electric version of Ford Mustang, the Mach-E, the new EV with the social responsibility related benefits, the balance of consumers may shift for each car. There is another consideration. The EV technology basically results in improved conventional product characteristics for Mustang Mach-E. The Mustang Mach-E, compared to its traditional internal combustion engine counterpart, it has an improved acceleration, better operational efficiency, and reliability. So when we talk about social responsibility related benefits or socially responsible products such as EVs, the assumption is that conventional product characteristics and the resulting consumer utility remain the same. But while this holds for some products, that's not the case for all the products, such as electric vehicles. There is what we call a positive halo spillover effect coming from the product and process innovations, in this case, resulting in a better product. While in buying Mach-E, you may be paying more, but at the end, you're getting a better product that performs better, that accelerates faster, that has fewer parts, so less to worry about, less to maintain. It's not as costly when it comes to maintenance costs. So those are the things that result in more improved conventional product characteristics that we don't always think about. Oftentimes when we talk about EVs, the first perception is, well, it's more expensive and it's not going to perform as well as its traditional version, in this case with the sports car. So as we're talking about the spillover effect, what exactly is spillover effect? So we have the halo and horns effect. Well, basically improvements in product and process attributes as a result of social responsibility related innovations can result in a positive, a halo effect, or a negative horns effect on the product's conventional product characteristics, and that's what we call the spillover effect. Let me illustrate how the spillover effect works. So let's assume that we have a socially responsible product and we're looking at the spillover effect that it has on the product's conventional characteristics and the resulting product image. But before we do that, let me ask you a question. Which one of these products would you buy? Regular wine or organic wine? Eco-friendly cleaner or a traditional cleaner like Clorox? Or a classic pair of shoes or a pair of Tom's shoes? Or would you buy the Chevy Camaro or the Ford Mustang Mach-E, the new EV? Which one would you buy? And how much would you be willing to pay for a socially responsible product? So while you're thinking about that, let me talk about the halo spillover effect. As we have been talking about it so far, for example, with the electric vehicles, they are socially responsible products, environmentally good. But at the same time, the new technology allows us to have a better product, a quieter ride, car that accelerates faster. It's still stylish. So not only we get the environmentally friendly side of it, the conventional product characteristics have improved. As a result, as consumers, we end up buying better products despite the higher price and the concerns related to range, for example. Another example, pair of Tom's shoes. Tom's has built a brand as a charitable brand that offers classic style shoes. They are known for quality, for comfort. When you buy a pair of Tom's shoes instead of the traditional counterpart, you might be paying a little bit more, but yet you're getting a better product, a pair of shoes that fits your foot more comfortably. It's stylish, and you can choose from a wide variety of shoes that Tom's offers, and they make some of their shoes out of the eco-friendly materials. So in this case, again, not only you're contributing to a social cause, but at the same time you're ending up buying a product that benefits you as a consumer. So there is what we call a halo, a positive spillover effect. If we go back to the slide, let's look at the horn spillover effect. Let's think about the pandemic. We're going to look at the cleaners. During the pandemic, which one of the cleaners flew out of the store shelves? It was Clorox, the traditional one. Eco-friendly cleaners have a higher price tag, but at the same time, consumers perceive them as having less effectiveness. So again, during the pandemic, the counterparts, the eco-friendly cleaners did not experience the same demand as the traditional ones, such as the Clorox. Another example is with the wine. For a very, very long period of time, organic wine, winemakers did not want to put organic on their labels. Organic wine or certified organic wine is the product of eco-friendly agriculture, but eliminating the sulfites from the wine results in less stable shelf life. And over time, as the wine ages, the quality goes down. So let me go back to my question. Which one would you buy? And how much would you be willing to pay for a socially responsible product? It all comes down to basically the public and the private benefits. Public benefits being environmentally good, it has a good social impact, but as consumers, we look for things that are going to benefit us personally. Okay, so from that perspective, not only the product should have the public benefit, but it also needs to offer the private benefit for consumers to pay that price premium for the socially responsible products. This is a pretty important finding in terms of firms when it comes to thinking about their operational and marketing strategies, especially from a marketing standpoint. It's very important to emphasize the private benefits that the consumers are going to get as technology or as the sustainability related innovations lead to improvements in the conventional product characteristics. As a result, that improves the product's image. Now, that was the consumer side. What about the firm side? How does corporate social responsibility impact firms' decisions on product positioning and competition? So, in our research study, which is a couple of years of effort studying sustainability in general, and then looking at different products over time and how sustainability impacts them, we developed an economic equilibrium model of firms competing on price and products that are differentiated by the socially responsible product attributes and the conventional product characteristics and thus product image. In our study, firms compete in two market segments, ordinary market segment and hardcore socially responsible market segment. In the ordinary market segment, consumers buy either the conventional product or the socially responsible product offering. In the hardcore market segment, consumers only purchase the socially responsible product. In our study, we also looked at the incremental production cost of offering the socially responsible product, and we also considered the spillover effect of the socially responsible product attribute on the product's conventional characteristics and the product image. Our findings provide insights in terms of how to position for firms have to position themselves in the marketplace, but our primary findings indicate that when the hardcore market segment is small, which is basically the customers that will only buy the socially responsible products, such as only the organic vegetables, and the incremental production cost of producing the socially responsible product is low, firms will offer the socially responsible product, but that will lead to intense competition. So the incremental cost is low, which is encouraging rivalry, and the hardcore market segment is small, which is not enough for everyone to make a higher profit. When the incremental production cost of offering the socially responsible product goes up, then the firms start following asymmetric product strategies. Some offering the socially responsible product, the others offering the conventional product, which eases the competition. And also what we have found with spillover effect, that was a very interesting result for us at least. Common intuition suggests that when there is halo spillover effect, that results in improved profits. But that was not the case. When there is halo spillover effect of the socially responsible product attribute on the conventional product image, that attracted more rivalry, and firms offered the socially responsible product. As a result of intense competition, there was profit loss. So that was a pretty interesting result, but the bottom line is, coming out of our research, the major findings are that consumers are willing to pay for socially responsible products as long as they get private direct benefits in addition to public benefits. On the competition side, we need to look at the cost of the initial production costs of offering the socially responsible product and how it plays out in the marketplace. And we have to look at the market segment. Starting out, anytime you offer a new product, the initial hardcore market will be small. As a result, when you attract a rivalry, when the competitors join you, then the profits are not going to be as high as expected, and the spillover effect of the socially responsible product attributes in the product image is a very important finding as well. Again, our research focused more on the sustainability in general, but it applies to various industries. These findings also provide insights for developing marketing and operational strategies for current and dynamic market conditions, such as transitioning through the product's life cycle. As human beings, products also go through stages in life: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. And at each phase, the profit, the product demand, the revenues, and the costs will be different. So if we look at it from a firm that's offering a socially responsible products perspective, the firm takes the risk to offer the new socially responsible product, but the production costs will be very high because there will be significant research and development cost. And with that, the firm will invest in growing what we call the hardcore market segment and establish a niche market structure. But these high costs require the firm to charge a premium price to offset some of these high costs. And as a result, this will keep the rivalry out until the firm goes down the learning curve and starts reducing the production costs. That's when the competition is going to join in offering the socially responsible product. And that's exactly what happened to Whole Foods and Patagonia, the clothing company. Both of them have established their niche markets and created the consumer awareness of their products in their respective industries. And as the awareness, as consumers became more aware of what they were offering, and as the hardcore market started getting bigger, that's when we started seeing all the other companies joining in the market, and that created an intense competition, and in some cases for these types of firms to lose their competitive edge. So, in light of all this discussion about sustainability and offering a socially responsible product and the competition in the marketplace, let's focus on the electric vehicle industry. How does it work in the electric vehicle industry? Well, Tesla has been credited for the emergence of EVs, but there have been other visionaries who tried to build the market and offer an electric vehicle car. However, they did not gain enough traction for different reasons, but primarily not embracing the technology, the new technology, like Tesla did. So if you think about it, Tesla is a small startup company that had no dealerships, no manufacturing capacity or capabilities, no brand name. They basically said, we're going to make EVs. And they did not want the auto manufacturers, the existing auto manufacturers, to build the cars. They wanted to build the cars. But the key to their success was they did not only focus on building the cars, they also focused on building the complementary assets. They knew down the road battery would be a big bottleneck, so they focused on building batteries. They started building their charging stations, and with the charging stations, they did not only focus on building charging stations within the cities. They tried to show the consumers that they could drive their cars out of town between cities. So they focused their charging stations between cities. And if you think about it, at the time, the auto manufacturers being hesitant about the value to the consumers, there were some leaders from auto manufacturers saying that, well, if you're a consumer, you need to go and pick up your kid from school and you realize that you have to charge your car. That's not going to work. You're going to hand over your keys at the dealership right away, was kind of the mindset. The market was not there, but Tesla focused on building that what we call the hardcore market segment, educating the consumers that this is a car, just like any other car, it will take you from point A to point B. And they also showed that the cars could be, EVs could be very stylish. It's a quieter ride. And Tesla followed a different strategy from a traditional, approach to entering the market. They did not focus on the lower end of the market. They started from the higher end. Their production costs were pretty high, but they offered a premium price car, the higher end car. When they announced their first Roadster in 2006 and delivered the first one in 2008, that received a lot of attention and that got a lot of celebrity buyers. So seeing the reaction, then the auto manufacturers that were hesitant started reacting, and that's when we saw Nissan Leaf and BMW's Mini E and the others come online. But still, the hardcore market segment was small. So, and the auto manufacturers were still hesitant. This worked to Tesla's benefit because they gained time in building their complementary assets, going down the learning curve, reducing the production costs, creating the brand awareness, as well as educating the customers and expanding that hardcore market segment that we're talking about. But the hesitant auto manufacturers did not want to jump into the new technology. Instead, they chose to go with the transitional product. So they, unlike Tesla that went straight to the EV technology without having an internal combustion engine car, the traditional or the legacy auto manufacturers, I should say, went from internal combustion engine cars to hybrids, which combines the old and the new technology. And now there is a big race to switch over to EVs. So there is not a single day that passes we hear an auto manufacturer making the pledge to go all electric in the near future. So where are we now in terms of that hardcore market segment? Here's a statistic from not too long ago, May 18th, 2021. Global EV sales forecast was 2.7 million in 2020, and we're looking at 25.4 million in 2030. That is quite a jump and a big revision from the previous estimates. So the speed of transition to electric vehicles is much faster than we anticipated. And here is another example. This is another recent announcement. 2022 Ford F-150 Lightning EV pickup. 300-mile range, priced at $40K. So basically, Ford also realized that, well, it's not only in the traditional cars, people use their pickups for recreational purposes, but at the same time they use them as their work vehicles. And now there's a push towards convincing people using their vehicles for work to also go electric. But one thing with Ford's strategy in the truck category, if you look at it, they are coming up, they are going to have their traditional internal combustion engine Ford as we know it, and they have a hybrid still relying on that transitional product, and this is their electric vehicle. So, what is their strategy? Why are they offering all three? Now, this time, it's not necessarily about the hesitancy. It's not about the market segment. Obviously, we saw that the hardcore market segment is growing very, very fast. And again, we can credit Tesla for educating the customers quite a bit. But this time, it's about the capacity. They do not have the capacity to respond to the electric vehicle demand. So in the meantime, they're offering the transitional product until they can build up that capacity. But right now, as Tesla went down the learning curve and the production cost came down and the hardcore market segment grew, that is inviting a lot of rivalry. And it's yet to be seen, who's going to emerge and who's going as a leader and who's going to stay. And Tesla is getting competition and is starting to be challenged. What are the challenges for the EV industry today? Well, there is the love. As we have seen, customers are more accepting of electric vehicles and they want more of them. And I have a feeling that statistic that I showed you about the growth of EV sales, there will be a revision within the next couple years in a more favorable manner. So the customer acceptance is there and that hardcore market segment is growing. But with that, the technology is new and it requires a lot of innovation capital. So one of the challenges will be all about getting the innovation capital. And we also have to realize that the product structure is changing. Right now, majority of the product focuses on the hardware. But with the EVs, the focus is slowly shifting to software. The cars are mechanical. Now, with the EVs, we're talking about more interactive cars. And that's going to require different infrastructure to build these cars, as well as different skill sets. So, as one of the auto manufacturers put it in the past, we were all engineers. Now we have to be software engineers. So the skill sets that are required from employees will also differ as we move forward. And growing that base is pretty important as well. And again, building the complementary assets, building charging stations where charging stations is not an issue. But another issue we're facing right now is a shortage of semiconductors. I'm sure you're following on the news. And the battery range is always a concern for customers. So those are some of the major challenges for the EV industry that need to be worked out. And of course, as we talked about it earlier with sustainability, competition, and market share. Now Tesla is challenged. Tesla is not the only player in town. I mean, we had other players, but in limited roles. Now Tesla went down the learning curve. Production cost came down. Hardcore market segment is bigger. Product acceptance is there. So now with the EVs, we're moving out of the introduction phase of the product life cycle more into the growth phase, which is bringing in rivalry, more competitors. So now it's going to be a game of market share, who's going to be the fastest to the market. Having said that, there is a huge race to go electric right now among the existing auto manufacturers. But the delay that they had, now it's more of a catch-up game. With the catch-up game, there are limitations, and this is basically making the auto manufacturers think about revisit their relationships. In the past, if they were competitors, now they are looking at building alliances and cooperation, working together to address some of the issues, the capacity constraints that they have. It might be in terms of production, in terms of battery, and all those things. So from that perspective, again, competitors are becoming partners in the race to electric vehicles. And of course, technology is progressing at a very fast pace, and keeping up with the technology and incorporating it into the new vehicles will also be one of the challenges. And as competitors come into the marketplace, so now the game will also focus on how do we differentiate ourselves from the others with what we're offering. It's no longer going to be only about, okay, I'm offering an EV. I'm offering an EV that is different from my competitors in this manner. So those are the things that need to be worked out as we move forward. In conclusion, sustainability is a very important concept for business decisions, and in this case for product positioning. But realizing that anytime we offer a sustainable product, we're offering a public benefit. But that public benefit is not the only benefit. It results in a product or a process innovation that leads to a private benefit, something that consumers will appreciate, something that's related to the product's conventional product attributes, a better car, a better cleaner, a better pair of shoes. And this will result in more customer acceptance and market growth. As we have seen with Tesla, it wasn't only about offering an environmentally friendly car, but the innovation led to a car that looks stylish, that is quieter, that accelerates fast, and it has many other features that the consumers appreciate. So with the market acceptance and market growth, we're back to sustainability, and this cycle continues until we make better products and until we improve our products and keep offering different things that our consumers appreciate. Thank you very much, and I appreciate any questions, thoughts, and comments. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity. I look forward to the questions.
That was a great presentation. I would like you guys to, if you guys have any questions, please submit it in the chat and I can moderate it from there. Yes, Dr. Sahin, I would like to start with the first question. There's a tax bracket in effect for EV purchases. What are your thoughts on those? And do you think these tax cuts should be continued or should they be eliminated?
So the tax incentives that are in place have been put into place to increase the awareness of the EVs and encourage consumers to consider EVs as an alternative to their purchases. So I personally believe that they have served its purpose. It has served its purpose. Now that we're seeing a huge growth in the interest in EVs, and again, maybe we're not at the levels that we want it to be, but we keep revising these estimates, as you have seen in the slides, from 2 million in global EV sales in 2020, where the expectation is up to 30 million in 2030, where we're constantly revising these estimates. So from that perspective, I think it has served its purpose. And now that we're going down the learning curve and the cost of EVs is coming down, I think they are becoming very competitive in terms of the type of product we're getting. So from that perspective, I don't think they are absolutely necessary. However, if we would like to accelerate the growth of demand into for EVs, that still is, serves the purpose. So from that perspective, there's two sides of the story. It's just a matter of how quickly we want to get there. But at the same time, we can get there very, very quickly, but we have to keep in mind all the constraints that we have in terms of production, in terms of batteries and all those things. So while the demand might be there, are we going to be able to meet that demand? So those are the trade-offs that we need to think about as it relates to tax incentives.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we move on to the next question, I would like to apologize for the connection issues during the presentation and then the video and the audio delays. Sorry about that. We'll take it in advice for the next ones. For the next question, we have what is Tesla aiming to gain from the Cube car, and what was the main idea behind that?
Could you please repeat the question again? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it.
Yes. What is Tesla's aiming to gain from the Cube car, and what was the main idea behind that?
Q car?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think, in general, Tesla's strategy has been, educating the customer, coming to the market and getting them to try different things and having them realize that, your transportation vehicle is basically, whether it's EV or internal combustion engine, it serves the same purpose. So I think that was the main proposition with everything that they offered and that they are offering. Of course, they have been working on extending the range of the cars. In fact, I think there was an announcement by Tesla yesterday where they scraped one of their models because they believe what they are offering currently is going to serve the purpose. So there is no need for another one that was purely aimed at going between different cities. So from that perspective, I think if we have to look at Tesla's strategy in how they are trying to address the demand for consumers, just making them realize you're getting a stylish car, but it is no different than your regular car. It's still serving the main purpose of transporting you from A to B at the most cost-effective manner.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes. For next one, it's from Tahare, and he's basically asking. You talked about how the market advantage is more towards consumers' perception and psychological factors than the product itself. For example, the example is that EVs are still developing, and since it doesn't have any signal in heavy snow and new findings, that's the example. Can you talk a little bit more about the perception and the psychological factor than the product itself?
Okay, yeah, good question. Again, a lot of the barriers for consumers for considering EVs, for example, have been, okay, they are expensive. And I'm going to compromise the ability to drive it whenever I want to. I need to make sure, the charging stations are available on my route. Or during the day, if I need to get into the car, I need to make sure it's fully charged. And I'm not sure if I want to pay more for a product where I'm going to compromise the functionality that I get from my traditional product. So that has been the common belief. But what we're finding out is that a lot of times with the improvements that we get in the product design as well as process design, there are hidden benefits that directly benefit the consumer. And, from that perspective, a lot of pressure goes on to marketing, just marketing these direct benefits to the consumer, helping them better understand that, these products are giving you a better product. Yes, you might be paying more at the time, which is another issue that is coming down, again, as we go down the learning curve. But you're getting a better product and you're not compromising anything. And what you see as a hindrance is a problem that is currently being addressed. So from that perspective, there is a lot that goes with the perception. And I think during the presentation, I gave the example of organic wine. A lot of wine makers did not want to put the organic in their labels because that was deterring consumers away. The product was deteriorating very quickly. It, shelf life was short, and some people argued that the taste was not very good. So it took a lot of marketing effort. Some very high-end restaurants, partnered with chefs, promoting those organic wine to show that the consumers that this is still a very good product. You just need to give it a chance and try it out before you just dismiss it right away. So there goes a lot as it relates to consumer perceptions, consumer psychology when new products come to the market.
All right, thank you so much. I have another question. Are consumer incentives for cash down payment on expensive EV important? The example is, for example, an old program of cash for clunkers for say 5,000 for any old ICE car, if and only if that money is used to purchase a new EV car. Um,
Uh, so on that one, let me think for a minute. I think it comes down to, well, we have to look at how the EVs are built compared to what the old, the traditional cars, the internal combustion cars look like. Well, there is a lot that's changing. For example, from a consumer perception, 90% of the current cars that we drive are basically, the hardware related. Whereas when we look at EVs, that expectation is going down to 40%. So for incentives for clunkers, are we doing this as an incentive to get the consumers to buy EVs, or is it because we're hoping to be able to use some of those parts from the traditional cars in rebuilding the new ones? If it is the latter, I don't see too much in there because I think the cars being built are different. They are lighter, that's a pretty important factor because that also helps with the battery usage. If that's the case, I don't see too much, but if it is as an incentive, I think the tax credits are there to incentivize consumers to consider EVs.
all right. Next question is from Todd. What hurdles outside of battery-related challenges are being faced by EV manufacturers from a supply chain and production standpoint?
Okay, very good question. I think right now, as we're all aware of we have a huge semiconductor shortage, and different industries are impacted depending upon what semiconductor we're talking about. But auto industry is very, very impacted. So that is a big hurdle. Another one, for example, Ford, when they came out with their Lightning trucks, they almost had to delay the launch of those cars, those vehicles, due to some disagreement between suppliers. In fact, two Korean manufacturers for intellectual rights, they were in court battling it out. And that basically, and in the very last minute, they went to a settlement agreement, which helped Ford secure the resources that they need, at least for the next 4 years. So those are some of the issues. There's a huge shortage in terms of the know-how too. I mean, the know-how, we're building it up, but some players are way ahead of the curve than the others. There are shortages on the materials, and another thing is workforce is changing. Now it's more, the workforce is more geared towards software engineers than mechanical engineers, people who could work in the factory and build, heavy duty cars. So those things are changing, and the consumer expectations are changing. Consumers are more interested in an interactive experience. So that brings exploring different forms of suppliers that can meet those needs in a timely manner. And what we're finding out is that competitors are becoming partners. to again move faster ahead of the curve. But at what point do they go their own way? You know, how, whenever the costs are going down and there is enough capacity in the marketplace. And so some of those relationship issues are also a challenge in terms of, you know, supply chains right now. And again, for example, Ford came out with Lightning truck, but they are still offering a hybrid. They are offering their traditional one. And that's, in my opinion, all related to lack of capacity right now. I think, Saad, you're muted.
All right. Thank you. Next question is EVDCFC are practical for highways or freeways, but fast charging is damaging to the batteries. So what's the best way to balance the battery life and environment production value?
Okay, I think I'm sorry, I missed your question. Could you please repeat again?
Oh, the question is that EVDCFC are they're practical for freeways or highways driving, but as fast charging is so popular and it's damaging to the batteries, how do you balance kind of battery life and effect on the environment value?
Okay, I think that is one of the issues that's being discussed right now. I am not as knowledgeable on the technical side of, you know, batteries, but that has been an item of discussion, how batteries are not, you know, the way they are produced and how long it lasts. People argue that there is the environmental impact not in a good way. But as far as I know, the technology is moving really, really fast on the battery side. And again, you know, we're talking a lot about solar powers or charging things, you know, with the motion and things like that. So from that perspective, I think that's something many manufacturers are working on. And, you know, there's a lot of innovation going on. And I think that problem will be handled relatively faster than we anticipate.
All right, thank you so much.
Mhm.
Next question is with 100% EV cars and trucks, the public benefit will depend on what the power plants will be able to provide that much electricity to be used for charging EVs. Is the conversion from charging EVs basically, does the US and the world have enough clean power plants capacity, or are we going to have to use more coal or heavy oil burning to be able to produce more electricity, in addition to use solar power and natural gas until we are able to upstream the supply chain for charging?
Well, there's a lot of focus on renewable energy and using, I mean, if you look at Tesla's example, I have a friend that bought a Tesla recently, and not only he bought the car, he also bought the Tesla wall that helps him, you know, generate power for his house as well as his car. So I think we're moving in that direction where we're also looking at exploring some of those new technologies that may help us. So I think it's gonna grow, and I think I find that there will be more focus on renewable energy and, you know, tying it into the technology that we're using on the EV side.
Thank you so much. I think that's all the questions we have for today. Um,
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today and be able to answer everyone's questions. So
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. And we had some technical problems, it seems like, during the video, but I assume the video will be available. But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, and please feel free to reach out. Thank you again for the opportunity.
once again, we would like to thank our partner and sponsor, Evolve Houston. They've been doing a great job with putting a point out about how electric vehicles are the future and basically electrifying and being able to use sustainable energy. So we would like to thank for that. And then thank you, Dr. Sahin, again for joining us. And thank you guys for joining this webinar. We will see you guys next month, hopefully, with a new topic. And we have some guests lined up as well. Um, Yes, thank you.
Thank you.